Friends, before I begin today's story, I want to tell you all to brace yourselves. And for the parents of young children, you must listen to this story till the very end. Please pay close attention to every event, because incidents like these are often hidden in our society. We are about to share with you a true story that took place in Lahore, Pakistan, and we request you to share this story with your friends so that awareness can spread among everyone. Instead of covering up the crimes of these human-like beasts, let's bring them to light so that they can't find a place to hide in society. This incident was sent to me by a female doctor. I am narrating the story in her own words. Friends, if you haven't liked the video yet, please give it a like, and if you are new to the channel, don't forget to subscribe and click the bell icon. Now let's begin. My name is Seema Akhtar in my life. I have heard many stories, but the one I am about to tell today is about a young child, and after hearing it, not only was I shocked, but I also became even more worried about my own children. It was a Monday. A woman brought her 10-year-old daughter into my clinic. I was astonished when I saw the child because her stomach was incredibly swollen. I thought she might be suffering from some illness, or perhaps fluid had accumulated in her abdomen. But then I noticed the mother was crying. I asked her what happened. "Why are you crying?" Hearing my question, she broke down even more and with folded hands pleaded with me. "Doctor, madam, for the sake of Allah, protect our honor." Seeing the mother's expression, I could guess what had happened, that 10-year-old girl was pregnant, and her mother was begging me to protect her honor so that no one would find out her daughter was pregnant. I looked at the woman with sympathy and said, "All right, let me do an ultrasound to check." But she immediately responded, "No, madam, there is no need for an ultrasound. You can see for yourself that my little girl is pregnant. You are a doctor. You already know everything I said, but I still need to examine her to see if her body is okay. And how did she become pregnant? Did someone force her?" The woman looked at her daughter and said, "No, madam. We don't know anything about that. You can ask her yourself. She has shamed all of us." The mother said these words while looking at her daughter with disgust. Then folding her hands, she said to me, "If her father finds out, he will bury me alive?" I asked, "But why? Your daughter's belly has grown quite big by now. Hasn't your husband noticed wiping her tears?" She replied, "No. He thinks that the child's belly has swollen due to fluid accumulation or some illness. Besides, my daughter's character is impeccable. She goes to the village madrasa to study the Quran. She even teaches younger children, as she is excellent at reciting the Quran. She performs all 5 prayers on time. I cannot accuse my daughter of any wrongdoing. Moreover, she is still very young. She is still in her childhood. Please don't think that I'm praising her just because she's my daughter. In reality, she is very pious and righteous. We've never let her lack anything. Her school environment is also very good. The students are provided with every facility. Nothing happened to her at school. But what can I say? Everything is Allah's will." Saying this, the woman bowed her head. I began to suspect the woman. It's impossible for a young girl to become pregnant without a man or without force. Someone must have done something terrible to her, or perhaps the mother herself was neglectful. That's why the child is in this condition today. These thoughts swirled in my mind. I noticed that the child's mother was avoiding eye contact with me, and it seemed like she didn't want to reveal the whole story. I said, "Your daughter absolutely needs to have an ultrasound. Only then will I know how far along she is and treat her accordingly." The woman agreed to the ultrasound. As I was taking her daughter to the ultrasound room, the woman said, "Doctor, madam, I'll come with you." It seemed she didn't want to leave her daughter alone with me, probably fearing that the child might reveal something to me in private. I was already suspicious, but this kind of over-involvement often happens in private hospitals. In government hospitals, people don't make such demands. They trust and listen to the doctor, but in private hospitals, patients' families often refuse to follow instructions and try to do everything their way. Similarly, this woman insisted on coming to the ultrasound room with her daughter. I didn't stop her, and she followed me into the room while I was performing the ultrasound. The mother was also watching the screen, seeing the image of her daughter's swollen belly. She asked me, "What do you think, Dr. Madam, is there still hope of saving my daughter's and our family's honor?" I replied, "Look, you need to stop worrying about honor. She is a small child, and when she hasn't committed any crime, why are you unfairly burdening her with the blame? Children of this age don't even have an interest in such things. You need to be aware of the environment around your child. You must know who she is spending time with, what she's doing, where she's going, and with whom. And at the same time, you need to take care of your own child. Once the ultrasound report is in, you will know what has really happened to your daughter." I explained this to the mother, but I had already understood everything. It wasn't difficult for me to interpret the ultrasound results still. I spent half an hour thinking about how to break the news to the woman without provoking her anger or causing her to harm her daughter. I chose my words carefully and told her, "Look, your daughter is going through an extremely sensitive situation. Her life could be at risk during this time, so you must take great care of her. Only if you look after her will her life become easier. And after all, you are her mother, not her enemy, that you would treat her so harshly. Your daughter is pregnant, and she is already 8 months along at this stage. Attempting an abortion could cause her lifelong suffering, so we can no longer terminate her pregnancy. Instead, you should take her home care for her and let the baby be born. It is not right to commit an unlawful act now. And her condition is too weak for it to be attempted first. She's too young, and second, her health is very fragile. Take her home and take care of her." I explained all of this to the woman, but she broke down crying and said, "Dr. Madam, what you are saying is impossible. Even if I take my daughter home, she will be buried alive before her baby is born. Please try to put yourself in my position. If you were the mother of a teenage girl and your daughter became pregnant at such a young age, would your husband forgive you? People always question the mother's upbringing. The mother is blamed for the child's actions. I cannot take her home in this condition. Please find some other solution for us. Otherwise, I will have no choice but to abandon my daughter." I was astonished at the mother's selfishness. I said, "Where would you go if you leave your daughter behind?" "Who does your daughter have besides you?" She replied, "Look, madam, I don't know about all of that, but if you have any solution, please tell me either this girl dies or you arrange for her abortion." Saying this, the child's mother began to cry. I told her, "What if you leave your daughter at my clinic and she stays with me until her baby is born? Would that be possible?" The woman quickly responded, "Yes, that's possible. I'll tell my husband that I've sent Samia to my sister's house. After all, girls do stay at their aunt's house that way. He won't suspect me, and my sister will support me as she knows what's going on with Samama. Just tell me how much money you'll need for this." The woman was desperate and helpless, deeply worried about her daughter. I comforted her and assured her, "I don't want any money from you. I made this offer because I feel sympathy for your daughter. No one stays at my clinic at night, so I'm alone here. I'll take care of your daughter, and during the day I'll bring her to my home if you can trust me. Then leave your daughter here." What else could the mother say? She was distressed from the beginning. She agreed, saying, "All right, I'll leave her here." After she left, I asked Samia's sweetheart, "Do you go to school?" She told me everything. I suspected that perhaps someone at school or the school bus driver had done this to her, causing her current condition, but it wasn't anything like that. The child said nothing of the sort. In fact, she didn't seem frightened at all. It seemed she didn't even understand what had happened to her, when it happened, or how it happened. She innocently placed her hand on her belly and asked me, "Dr. Madam, am I going to have a baby? Will I become a mommy too?" I said, "Yes, dear, you will become a mommy, but it will be very difficult for you." I also advised her not to run around and told her, "Now you have to take care of yourself. You need to rest, pray for yourself, and try to remember if anyone has ever done something bad to you. Tell me the truth." She immediately said, "No, no one has ever treated me badly. No one has done anything bad to me." I understood her words but couldn't believe them. The next day, Samia's mother came with several sweets and dry food which she had brought for her daughter. I took the food and stored it in the clinic. The woman also told me that she would visit her daughter regularly. Samama, of course, missed her mother, and at the same time, she wondered what was happening to her regardless. I kept her at my clinic. Her due date was approaching, and I was increasingly worried. What if during the delivery of such a small child, I get accused of committing an illegal act and end up in jail? After all, I had reassured her mother that there was no reason to worry, and I would take care of the matter with her baby. I wasn't going to break my promise or betray her. Trust on the day of delivery. Samama gave birth to 2 twin babies. The babies were healthy and beautiful. I looked at them, and my amazement knew no bounds. They were twins. I had never seen anything like this in my life. Samia's condition was very poor. I took her directly to my house from the hospital. She now looked more like an adult woman. I felt terrible seeing her condition. I tried asking her again, but she still didn't know anything. In any case, the babies were hers. I explained to her in a way that she could understand, making sure she didn't tell anyone at home about her babies. I also explained everything to her mother, saying, "I've given those twin babies to a childless couple. You don't have to worry about the babies anymore." Samia's mother felt relieved. She gave me a large sum of money and said, "Thank you so much, madam. You have stood by me in such a difficult time." I told my husband that I had left Samia at her aunt's house, and he believed it. After all, he doesn't pay much attention to the children anyway. But if he had found out, I don't know what he would have done. What would have happened to my daughter saying this? The woman left with Samama. I thought she must be at ease now since her main concern had been taken care of, but I kept thinking about Samia. I felt that perhaps she had wanted to tell me something but couldn't out of fear. So I didn't ask her anything further after Samama and her mother left. One of the nurses at my clinic said something that shocked me. She said, "Madam, don't you think the girl's mother's behavior seems suspicious?" I had felt the same, but I brushed it off. I didn't want to get involved in any unnecessary trouble. I had already pushed the incident out of my mind. I didn't think Samama would ever return to me, and I didn't think I'd have to treat her again. In my view, this was the biggest catastrophe in their lives. I had a firm belief that Samia's mother would take full care of her from now on, not allowing her to go out alone. I was convinced that her mother would be vigilant about her activities and the company she kept. So I thought this was the end of their tragic chapter. But then something happened that I never could have imagined. About 78 months later, Samia came to my clinic again. This time her mother was with her, and Samia had wrapped herself in a large scarf. Once again, her belly was swollen. It looked as though another disaster had struck her life. I thought they might have come to me for some other issue, but then what her mother said to me was something I was not prepared to hear. I asked, "What brings you to me again?" Samia's mother said, "The same thing has happened to my daughter again." I asked what happened. Samia's mother started crying. Seeing her cry, I understood that there had been some mishap again. The same thing had happened to Samia that had brought her to me. Before, I couldn't comprehend how a small child could endure such situations at such a young age. And as for Salma Bayam, she never took care of her daughter, nor did Samama understand anything about the situation. I asked again, "How did this happen again? You said there were no bad people around your daughter. So what is this?" Salma Bayam started crying again and said, "Dr. Madam, I don't know how this keeps happening. I feel like the same thing has happened to her again. Please test my daughter and see if she's all right. I haven't taken her for any other tests yet, since you already know our situation. I've come straight to you this time for the sake of Allah. Check her and let me know if what I'm thinking is true or false. Oh Allah, please let what I'm thinking be false, or I will be a living corpse. How will I explain this to her father this time? This time a storm will come into my life that will destroy me completely." I said, "Don't make unnecessary assumptions. Let me check first. Don't think about anything until we have the test results." But as soon as I glanced at the computer screen during the ultrasound, It felt like the ground had disappeared from under my feet. I couldn't believe my eyes. I never imagined that the same thing would happen to Samama again. Just like the last time I told Samia's mother the truth, she said, "Dr. Madam, please tell me this is all a lie. Please tell me these things aren't true. I swear on the Holy Quran that I truly don't know anyone who could harm my daughter in this way. You might suspect me or think that I am a negligent mother who doesn't keep track of her child, but I swear I don't know how this is happening." I said, "You don't need to worry anymore. Samama will get better with the right medicine, and you won't face the same complications as last time. However, if such things keep happening, it will ruin your daughter's health. It's terrifying for such a young child. You know how weak her body is. Firstly, she is very young, and secondly, her health is very fragile. You must take care of her." Hearing my words, Salma Begum replied, "Of course I will take care of her. Just give me the medicine, but please also tell me who is doing this to my daughter." She started crying again in the clinic. I said, "I don't understand it either. I've asked Samama many times, gently and with love, if anyone has treated her badly, but she firmly denies it. She says, no, there is no one, no one has ever looked at me with ill intentions, and no one has ever tried to touch me. Whatever happens, it happens suddenly. I don't know anything about it." Hearing this from Samia surprised me greatly. I thought that would be the end of it, and that nothing like this would ever happen to her again, but just a few months, maybe 2 or 3 months passed, and the woman came to my clinic with her daughter again. This time I became very angry when I saw them. It felt like they were knowingly playing some kind of drama. It's impossible for a child to keep getting pregnant, and neither the parents nor anyone else knows anything. This time I didn't even bother with an ultrasound. I just wrote down the prescription for medicine. But Salma Begum was very worried. Her eyes were filled with tears. Her hands and feet were shaking. She said, "Where will I go if this happens to my daughter again? What will I do?" I said, "Listen, no one is so naive these days as you think I am. The culprit behind what is happening to your daughter is right in your house. Either you've remarried and your current husband is the child's stepfather, or there's something else that you're not telling me. If neither of these is true, then you need to keep your daughter close to you at all times. I don't believe that if you always keep her with you, this kind of incident will happen again." Salma Begum replied, "Believe me, I do that. I only send her to the madrasa to study the rest of the time. She's with me." While Salma Begum was speaking with me, another woman entered the clinic with her daughter, who appeared to be about Samia's age. She too had come to my clinic with her mother. The girl's mother said to me, "I need to talk to you about something urgent and privately." She didn't want to speak in front of Salma Begum. I guessed that the girl with her was about 12 or 13 years old. The girl looked very worried and tears were streaming down her face from looking at her. I could tell that something similar had happened to her. I gave Salma Begum the medicine and sent her on her way. Then I asked the second woman and her daughter to sit in my chamber, since they were new to the clinic, and I needed to give them time too. I observed that this girl, like Samama, had some abdominal issues. Her name was Rafia. Rafa's mother said my daughter has been experiencing severe stomach pain for the past few days. She's been showing symptoms that usually only married women have, Iraya's pulse, and understood that the same thing had happened to her that had happened to Samama after reviewing Samia's ultrasound report. Everything became crystal clear to me. I felt immense sorrow for the 2 young girls witnessing all this. I became very distressed. I told Samia's mother the truth. "Your daughter is pregnant." Samia's mother put her hands on her head and sat down on the floor. She said, "I don't understand how this could happen." I then told her about Samia as well, because it was crucial for the mothers to be aware of this issue. After this incident, I could no longer stay silent. I filed a police report on behalf of the 2 girls. I explained everything to the police. The police in our area are not known for their honesty, which is why people hesitate to file complaints, especially in sensitive cases like these. When such incidents involve women or daughters, Families try to cover them up, fearing the dishonor that police involvement could bring. However, we were fortunate that the police officer handling the case was a good man. He conducted a thorough investigation into both incidents. First, he sent female officers in plain clothes to investigate the schools attended by the two girls. It was revealed that both girls lived in the same neighborhood and attended the same school. A proper search was conducted at the school, but nothing suspicious was found there. However, when the officer extended the investigation to the girls' neighborhood, a name came up, one that even the police officer hesitated to mention. Fearing the consequences, he was a man whose mere mention would make the entire neighborhood rise against the officer. Yes, that man was none other than the local mosque's imam, Muli Rahmat Bakshi. I am openly revealing the real name of that imam. Maulvi Rahmat Bakshi had been the imam of the mosque for the last 10 years and lived in a house adjacent to the mosque. He always prayed, fasted, and spent his time with a tasbih in hand, constantly reciting zikr of Allah. No one, not even for a second, was willing to suspect him, let alone arrest him. He used to teach all the children of the neighborhood the Quran. Without charging any fees, the boys would study on the mosque's veranda, but the girls were taught inside the house by his wife under pura veil. However, about 3 years ago, his wife left with their children and went away somewhere. Mulv Sahib had told the villagers that he had remained silent out of fear of Allah and always praised his ill-charactered wife. But in reality, his wife was involved with other men and had run away with one of her lovers. After this revelation, Mulv Sahib's reputation among the villagers only grew. If anyone's child fell ill, they would take the child to Mulv Sahib for spiritual healing. Jarfuk every day, different households would send food for him. When the police conducted an investigation, it was revealed that the girls who had previously been taught inside the house by Mulv Sahib's wife under Pura were now being taught by Mulv Sahib himself. Inside the house, he often gave the children something to eat. When the police carefully searched MVI Sahib's house, what they found left everyone in shock. The same Molvi, whom everyone believed to be pious and righteous, had a large stash of drugs hidden inside his house. The police immediately arrested Muli Sahib and took him into custody for interrogation. During the interrogation, MVI Sahib confessed to all his crimes. He had been drugging the girls by mixing intoxicants in the cholets and cold drinks he gave them, rendering them unconscious and then fulfilling his vile desires. Those innocent children never realized that their lives were being turned into a living hell. The parents of these children, who believed Mulv Sahib to be a righteous and pious man, were actually entrusting their children to a devil in disguise. It was later revealed that Mulvi Sahib's wife was in fact a pure and pious woman. One day, she caught Mulv Sahib in the act with one of his students. When she confronted him, Mulv Sahib physically assaulted her and threw her out of the house, along with their children, in the dead of night. Friends, I have only one request for all of you. Always protect your children. Sometimes the people we blindly trust are the ones who harm us the most. Never place blind trust in anyone when it comes to your children. May Allah protect us all from such human devils. Ameen. I hope you liked today's story. If you did, please like the video and subscribe to the channel and click the bell icon. Your support is what motivates us to keep creating. We will see you in the next video with another mysterious story. Until then, take care of yourself and your family, especially your children.